Yo, I am live, and tonight is the fight we've all been waiting for. Canelo Alvarez is taking on Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford is going up two weight classes to take on Canelo Alvarez for the 168-pound title. And the ring championship, which we know as boxing fans, is really the championship that matters. I'm supposed to be joined here by others, but others haven't come so far. Let's see as we do this, as they're going through their ceremony before the ring. I guess this recording artist, Adam Jones and Danny Carey, I guess, they're doing their work before the ring walk. So I'll be here for that. But I'm going to leave a link in the, should do that, right? I'll leave the link inside the comments just in case someone wants to come in and even join. You can also leave some comments in the comments as well. Let me see. Paste it. Let's go. Let's go to these comments and see what's going on. Well, these are the comments. Let's go. Anyway, Canelo Alvarez, Bud Crawford tonight. The undercard fights were pretty entertaining undercard fights. Fernando Vargas Jr. lost his first fight tonight to Irishman Callum Welsh. Welsh was it? Or Walsh? But he lost to him tonight. You can kind of see the writing on the wall. This was his first step-up fight. So you can see that he was not necessarily outclassed. He just didn't have enough experience for tonight, because I don't think Walsh did a whole lot in terms of trying to hurt him. I think he just used his skills to keep him outside and jumped in when he needed to and just controlled the fight, and the scorecards proved it. And we ended up with the decision we expected. But the fight before that, that was a candidate for fight of the year, as Christian Mbele, a 168-pound interim champ. He was taking on Lester Martinez, comes from Bomax camp, which is Bud Crawford's camp in Omaha, Nebraska. In fact, Bud Crawford used him as a sparring partner preparing for Canelo Alvarez. So you can see why, in terms of just being strong and being aggressive and putting pressure on him. Now, skill-wise, we know that you can't duplicate what Canelo does in the ring with a sparring partner. But that Lester Martinez showed a lot of heart tonight, along with Christian Mbele, originally from Cameroon, went to France, fought in the Olympics, and got to the quarterfinals. But as a pro, those two both undefeated, high knockout percentage, and they did not disappoint over the course of 10 rounds. And as you could expect with that kind of talent in the ring, they gave us a draw. So there's no surprise there, but that was certainly a candidate for fight of the year. And the only thing I can't say I didn't like, but the one thing I could look at specifically with that fight, those are the kinds of fights that shorten your career. And I hate with guys, they're not young guys anyway, but for these guys who are relatively young in their career to fight that kind of fight, it takes something out of you. It was in a phone booth from round 1 until round 10. There wasn't really a whole lot of room to get full extension on punches, but the inside fighting, the uppercuts, the body work, and then the reasonable times in which they did get some distance, which was kind of intermediate, they were getting an extension on the punches, and it was just something else. These guys, I think, took a lot out of one another. It was a hellacious fight. And that was the television portion. I'm not in Vegas, so I didn't get to see the fights that did not show up on television, Netflix. But that fight there, Christian Mbele and Lester Martinez, definitely a fight of the year candidate. But I believe those guys took so much out of one another with that fight. They were so brutal. In fact, I started remembering from years ago, there was a fight, and if you look it up, it was Prince Charles Williams, and he fought Murky Sosa. The fight was so brutal, they stopped the fight in the 7th round because it was so brutal. It was a 12-round scheduled fight. They stopped it in the 7th round and called it a draw because the fight was so brutal. You might need to look that up. Murky Sosa, who ended up fighting Roy Jones and getting knocked out in the second round, and Prince Charles Williams, who you know was the tune-up for James Toney before James Toney fought Roy Jones in their epic battle. But anyway, we're still here waiting for the ring walk between these two. I'll be here all night just in case you all want to hang around with me. Come into the comments if you want to do that. I put a link in the comments just in case you want to show up or just in case you want to leave some words. We can do that as well. But we're among friends here. We're all boxing people. I would be sure this is mainstream boxing, but this is a boxing fan's dream fight because it's a fight that did not have to happen. But these dudes, based on legacy, more so for Bud Crawford, they wanted it to happen. And here we are. So as we're looking right now, if you're looking at me, I may be behind you a little bit. I have digital. You may have digital as well. But we don't know whose feet is fast and whose isn't. But as it stands right now, Bud Crawford heading to the ring. To get to the ring right now, Las Vegas, Nevada. And we see his record on the board, 41-0, 31 KOs, coming up from 130 pounds. Now he's trying to fight and win a title at the 168-pound limit, which is the super middleweight division. It will be an incredible feat. Neither fighter, let's get that straight, neither fighter is in his prime. This is probably the best they're going to be at this particular point in their careers. So they're at their top form. And I get that from when Muhammad Ali had fought Joe Frazier for the third time, the Thriller in Manila. They weren't in their prime, but they were at their top form for what they brought to the table. And they gave us one of the greatest fights, if not the greatest overall fights of all time. Bud Crawford reaching for legacy. This isn't a legacy fight for Canelo. Let's get that straight. This is not a legacy fight for Canelo. He has much more to lose than Terence Crawford. Even though his career is already etched in stone, he's going to the Hall of Fame on his first ballot. This isn't a legacy fight for Canelo. He's already set his legacy. This is a legacy fight for Terence Crawford. And if you listen to Terence Crawford pretty often, you always hear how he references how fans think he hasn't fought anybody. That's still on his head. So every time he beats whoever they said he couldn't beat, he's looking for the next thing to prove them wrong. And so instead of just doing the booth fight, which us boxing fans would have loved to have seen, the mainstream fans know who Canelo is. And then along with the promotion of the fight, you could look at this former 130-pounder, now 147-pounder, now 154-pounder, now trying to go up to 168 pounds, in which he did come in at 167.5, along with Canelo being the same weight. Canelo did look good at the weigh-in. I don't think it's a matter of Canelo getting bored in boxing. You know, it's just, I think, a wear and tear thing. He's been fighting since he's been 15 years old as a pro. And Buzz fought amateur as a 7-year-old and came up through the ranks, but not like Canelo. In Mexico, you can turn pro at 15 years old, and he did just that. And he was a prodigy since, and we see what he's turned out to be. I don't care what anybody says. People do not like Canelo for whatever reason. And, you know, they could talk about the steroids. They could talk about whatever PEDs. There's been a lot of boxers that people kind of just ignore when we know they have taken PEDs, like Roy Jones, like James Toney, like Fernando Vargas, now like him. And now we're talking about Ryan Garcia. We have a litany of fighters who've done that. If you want to come into the comments, make sure you come into the comments. I've left a link in the comments just in case you want to come. Also, you can just join me on the conversation and watch the fight along with me. Carlos is here, so let's see what Carlos is saying. What's good, bro? Carlos is in the house. We know him, part of the show, the Sports Bag Bros podcast with Bias and I. Bias may stop in. He does have people at the house, so he may not stop in. He wants to enjoy the fight with his boys. I can understand that. And if you knew Bias and know anything about him, that boy's probably grubbing it out with his boys right now because he'd be putting down the spread when these fights come along. And Carlos is another one of those who throws down the spread. So also, if you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel, go ahead and do that. We have some boxing features on here that you probably would like. Right now, I have a greatest round ever series going on. So there's a couple of fights on there, if not 3 or 4 fights, I believe, total, that you may be able to check out, or if you want to, that is, that you can check out and decide on your own if that was the greatest round ever. The first one I did was Hagler Hearns. How could I not do that one? And then I did Castillo and Diego Corrales, their first fight. So just in case you want to check out that one. And then I did Riddick Bowe and Evander Holyfield's round 10. And then the final one I had just done is a bit glitchy, so I may have to do it again, but I'm probably not. It was Ward and Gotti. I thought that's the one everybody wanted to see, but it seems like YouTube didn't push it out there as far as it could have because of the glitches in the first 20, 30 seconds. But once you get past those glitches, you'll get what you wanted out of it. Anyway, it looks like a mariachi band out here is doing the thing for Canelo. As you know, Mexican Independence Day is a huge deal. And around this time of year, in boxing in particular, we do talk about Cinco de Mayo. That's not what they're really about down there. They're really about their Mexican Independence Day. This is much more important. In fact, I think Cinco de Mayo is more about what we like here in the U.S., and we just make it our own. And you have Mexican Americans, hey, we got a reason to drink, let's drink. But Mexican Independence Day, that's where it's all about. That's when your true pride comes out and you want to do something special for your people. That's why you started seeing a lot of those Mexican fighters fighting around this time of year. Floyd Mayweather might have been the guy, but those Mexican fighters who fought on that date fought with a lot of damn pride. And even after now, Floyd Mayweather's been gone from the professional ranks, at least he's doing exhibitions now. You see Canelo holding up the tradition. And when he's gone, there'll be another Mexican holding up the tradition. So this is how it's going. There's a lot of people there tonight, and I like the way it's looking. You know, you have the Las Vegas Raiders. That's their home field. And if you're watching as I'm watching, Canelo Alvarez with his entourage, Eddie Reynoso leading the way, coming out, going to the ring, making his grand entrance as the champion does, comes out second with all his glory. In other words, all the belts that he owns, coming out of the locker room, ready to do battle on his day. Yeah, the money part, yeah, I've heard different stories about the money part. Canelo getting 150, Bud getting 10 million, but could making upwards of 50 million. You know, Bud's been one of those few fighters, even though this is prize fighting, he doesn't go for the maximum amount, or he doesn't beg for the maximum amount. He would just beg for the opportunity because he knows there will be a bigger opportunity later. And that's one of the few fighters who does it. But look, Canelo's getting what he's earned. I know people have a feeling about Canelo one way or the other, but Canelo has earned this reputation. He has earned the right to now pick fighters he wants to fight. I know it kind of sours the old school boxing people because they want to see the brutal changing of the torch, passing of the guard, and he's not allowing it right now. I know Benavidez is what people want to see. They want to see Canelo Alvarez fighting Benavidez, and he's not going to do that anytime soon, it seems, you know. But I think based on what he's done throughout his entire career, all of the fighters he's fought, the resume is, it can't be not denied. You know, wins and losses, it doesn't matter. It's just the fact that he fought the guys he fought, whether he got decisions he might not have deserved, that's kind of irrelevant. He still fought those guys. I know Triple G, they fought 3 times, and you can never satisfy boxing fans. Let me see what we going on now. What's going on with Carlos here? What's good? I'm good. So Canelo's been in this spot several times. And, you know, it's like anything else. The more you do something, the more you get used to coping with the situation, knowing how to handle the nerves. The same thing like amateur boxing, pro boxing, anything you do over and over, you just get better at it. Or if it's a coping thing, you learn how to cope better with it as time goes on. For those of us who's boxed before, amateur or pro, you can understand exactly how that goes. Or if you played a regular sport, if you played basketball, if you played football, whatever, you know, the more you do it, the more you get acclimated to whatever it is that may seem unnatural. You know, the anxiety you might feel or the fear, which is just borderline fear, anxiety, and just being ready, being able to decipher between the 2 or 3. I know that much because, I would be a little nervous before fights, but that was outside of the ring, getting your hands wrapped and jumping rope and keep it warm, one thing. But once you get inside of the ring, at least for me, there was nothing, no anxiousness, nothing, no anxiety, no fear, anything once you're inside the ring. Now here's Michael Buffer revving up the crowd for one of the more intriguing bouts in the last 10 years. Is this an important bout? I would consider it important if it was important for both fighters. It's important for Bud much more than it's important for Canelo right now, because Canelo's the one with the reputation. And Bud has a reputation, but it pales in comparison to what Canelo has done in his career. I mean, over 60 fights, and he's been a pro for so long. He's been fighting on the A side for so long. He's been fighting the top fighters for so long. So once again, Michael Buffer's getting them ready. We can just sit back and watch this as it goes along. I know most of you tuned in here didn't want to just see me, but that's what's going on right now. We have some people who did not come in, some people who are too busy to come in, and I can understand that. I'm good either way. I can do this for the entire fight and then do a post-fight if I want to, but they're showing Turkey Ashik, and give that guy credit for doing what he's doing with the boxing game. He changed it around completely, and he did it quickly. These kinds of 50-50 fights, and this is probably not a 50-50 fight on the surface because of all the intangibles and the obvious, but just the fact that these guys can get in the ring because one decided to dare to be great tonight, which is Bud, and Canelo just is going to try to do business as usual. Thomas Taylor is the referee tonight, which is pretty solid. When you see certain referees and you kind of wonder, is there an agenda? Years ago, you would see Richard Steele and wonder, oh, God. Or Jay Nady, I mentioned him before. You think, oh, man. Steve Willis is my guy, the guy out in New York. He just enjoys being a referee as much as he enjoys watching the fights. He has the best seat in the house, and this guy enjoys it. And you boxing fans who know about him, Steve Willis is the ref of all refs. He just loves his game. He loves his job. Once again, if you want to join the conversation or if you just want to comment, make sure you do so. I'll put a link in the comments in that event. So Bud is coming in with his 41-0 and 31 KO record, 5'9", so he has a 2-inch advantage. But I think the reach is going to matter to a degree, but at the same time, Charlo had a reach as well and a whole lot of inches in height, and he didn't go into this fight the way I assumed Bud will go into this fight. Charlo did not go into the fight willing to fight. He was interested in surviving like a lot of fighters do, and when he got knocked down, he was damn sure interested in surviving. So we're going to find out right now. At some point in this fight, Bud is going to get hit harder than he's ever been hit before inside of a professional boxing ring. And you can't say the same thing about Canelo because Canelo's fought heavier fighters, bigger fighters, even light heavyweights. He's been hit by Kovalov, who was a killer hitter, and even though that was the end of his career, he still had the punch. He just couldn't land it. And Bivol, even though Bivol is not known as a puncher, he's still 175. Canelo went up there and was schooled and was battered, and he didn't get knocked out. He got to the point to where he probably was just trying to survive when he realized that everything failed. But here we go. They're in the ring. They're announcing Canelo Alvarez. For those of you who are not watching, this is a Netflix fight, so it's no longer pay-per-view, at least not with this. You just get their subscription and you watch the fight. So even if you got their minimum subscription of $7.99, you could watch the fight for $7.99. They're just hoping that all of these eyeballs translates into a bunch of people deciding to keep it after all. If 100 million people decide to watch, they want to get 10% of that audience staying back and paying that $17 a month, $7 a month, or whatever other package you decide to get. So I understand the business play. I know I wish I had some graphics up here, but you know how that goes. You know, especially a fight like this, you can't have any of those graphics that show the fight at all. You can't even really have the audio. So hopefully the audio isn't loud enough in here for people over the radio or over the microphone to hear it, because you get struck for that, and the next thing you know, Netflix will be kicking me out for a copyright strike, coming after little old me for inadvertent noise. Canelo's looking good body-wise, you know, but I've seen boxing and watched boxing for decades. And I know looking at someone's body doesn't matter at all, because I remember Muhammad Ali going on that crash diet against Larry Holmes, and he got down to, I believe, 215 pounds in like the matter of months. And people are like, oh, he's going to surprise people again. And we all know what happened with that fight, which should have been his last fight. In fact, I think that the Thrill in Manila should have been the last, but anyways. So now they're in the corners. They're ready to go. Bud, Canelo, Bud. And let's see. Canelo's looking good physically. You know, he's really looking good. Bud doesn't look flabby, but he's a former wrestler. He's hydrated well, it looks like. Boom. Now he's starting to fight. Bud comes out as a southpaw. And remember, Canelo has brought in Boots Ennis as his lead sparring partner to mimic what Crawford does, because Boots, like Crawford, they switch from orthodox to southpaw. So that's a smart move, smart play, and they do it seamlessly. So if you're going to try to mock someone you're about to fight, you may as well do that. Now, Bud is throwing the jab. He's staying flat-footed. So, and that works for him, but it also works for Canelo, because, as you know, Canelo doesn't like being very active early because he likes to conserve his energy. He's had a history of getting tired at the end of rounds or at the end of fights or in the middle of fights. So he loves this kind of pace, Canelo. But obviously there is a method to the madness for both of them. And Bud is just filling them out. That's what you're going to get for the first 3 rounds if it goes that long. 4 rounds definitely, because once it gets past that 4th round, then you're talking about a real professional fight. And, you know, you boxing people know that already. So this is round number 1. Canelo's he's trying to put some leather on there, and he's trying to come off the ring. And the one thing Bud can do is try to be more fleet of foot, but try not to rush it so he doesn't get tired, because Canelo is slow of foot and he can cut off the ring if you let him cut off the ring. You got to give him something to think about. And he throws a big right hand and Bud blocks it, and then he throws a left and Bud blocks that left to the body. Not too much going on this round. Bud just threw a couple of punches and landed 1 or 2. Nothing effective, just throwing it. Well, Canelo's coming. You know what you're going to get with Canelo. I'm not saying his game is not nuanced. He's a nuanced fighter, but he doesn't do it as much now as he used to do when he was younger. Yep, he's doing that overhand right to the shoulder. I think that's the punch he was using against Billy Joe Saunders when he pretty much broke his arm, punching him in his arms. You know, that's the old Rocky Marciano method. Like with Roland LaStarza in their second fight, he bust his vessels in his forearms and dropped his arms and knocked him out. I mean, Bud's an excellent athlete, and let's not forget about that wrestling background. You know, so I'm thinking that when this fight gets deeper, if it gets deeper, you know, it's going to come down to a bit of attrition when they're in the clinch and round 1 is over. So, I'm scoring the rounds and I'm looking at the fight at the same time. That was a difficult round to score. And I don't want to seem biased on this at all, because what's the point? You know, trying to make myself feel good just to have a bad card at the end. So, I mean, I could give it to Bud because he did throw more punches. So that's what I'm going to do. And based on that, so I gave you my reason for it. My reasoning for giving Bud that fight, he threw that round. He threw more punches. And then he came around, caught him. They're showing some replays now. Now, don't get caught up on the replays either, because sometimes these networks have their own little biases, and they'll start showing you things that kind of make you lean one way. But I think legitimately, if you had to pick a winner, I'm not doing the 10-10 round deal. I think Bud did get this round. Uneventful, but if it's uneventful and someone lands more than the other, you got to go with the one who landed more than the other, and that's Bud. And here they're coming out for round two. Canelo's going to be there for the long haul. When the bell rings, if it gets to round 12, Canelo's going to be there. He's not going anywhere. Now, does he really up the ante, gets reckless if he feels that he's falling behind? So he went to the body. He just caught Bud with a little body shot. And Bud's a southpaw. So he has that. So a liver shot is not as difficult against him. But you can see Bud is trying to set traps, if that's what you're looking at. He's setting traps, he's moving, but too much of that movement, you got to remember what that's going to do to you in the later rounds. And I'm looking at his feet and trying to see if he's on the balls of his feet or if he's flat-footed. And right now he's flat-footed, which I believe is a good thing. Because that means he's relaxed. That means he's not jittery. That means that he's going to get more power on his punches when he decides to throw. And being the lighter fighter, he's not the shorter fighter, but being the lighter fighter by nature and by body fit, structure, he gets that quick torque, that fast twitch torque. Now Canelo's just walking in now, and Canelo's walking in. I think he's disregarding whatever it is Bud is trying to do. And he's going to Bud's body. So that's a signature thing for what Canelo's doing. What he wants to do. He wants to go to the body because he knows those dividends will get paid later on in the fight. So, see, Bud is still going to the top. He's not jabbing to the body as much as I thought he would, but Canelo's coming in. Whatever he saw from Boots Ennis during their sparring sessions, I think he's taking the tutelage. Look, they're in close now. Bud throwing the combinations. Bud is throwing more combinations. I think those long arms for the meantime are to his benefit. And looking at Bud's body, though, he does noticeably look bigger. And now Canelo's trying to set a trap because he's trying to play possum against the ropes. And he has that slick jab that he just caught Bud with. He kind of brings it a little bit from the hip when you're not really expecting it. But Bud's got those eyes wide open. And the athleticism of Bud may be a deciding factor of being able to get the hell out of the way. Man, you know what? I'm not even going to give you any type of editorial. I'm not going to editorialize. I'm just going to pick the round. And that round I have to give to Bud again. And no, it's not because I have $100 on the fight. It's because that's who I believe is winning the fight at this point. There's a long way to go. And I'm seeing this slow motion of Canelo really digging a good body shot into Bud Crawford. Now, Bud's core is very strong, having that wrestling background. If you watched anything with Bud, you saw routinely how he deadlifts about 400 pounds or more. So, and it's not just doing it for the camera. He's done it for years. And that helps with these heavier guys when they try to collapse on you and they try to add that extra weight on you, make your legs go weak. I think that's going to be helpful for him, as much as he did the weight training for the legs and back. That's what's going to be needed because the ring itself, the ring itself is mushy, as you probably know in boxing. And that takes something out of your legs to begin with. So now we're in round 3. And Canelo's now trying to find some angles. And Bud's looking pretty big. His back looks a bit wide. He's trying to stay busy with the right jab from his southpaw stance. And Canelo's trying to come in with that overhand right. You look at their feet in basic boxing. You talk about fighting a southpaw. You got to keep your outside foot, your lead foot, on the outside of their lead foot. And when these guys get to this level, you've done this so often, you know where you are in the ring. You have awareness. And Bud is keeping them turning. It's a long way to go, but if there's a game plan to be used, this is what he's doing. This is what a lot of people call he's running. Why? Because he's not standing there in front of him waiting to get pounded in the damn face. Now he's moving. He's moving. He's getting off and he's moving. And I remember when Bias and I had done the show last Thursday, I mentioned how Billy Conn in his first fight against Joe Louis did a lot of the same. He came in at 169. Joe Louis was 199, a 30-pound difference. And for 12 rounds, he completely outboxed Joe Louis until he decided he wanted to get a knockout in the 13th round, and he got knocked out. So Bud has the discipline as a wrestler, former wrestler, as a boxer who's had over 40 fights. You would believe he has the discipline to stick to a game plan. Don't look for a knockout. Look to box, look to score, change your angles, land your shots, and when the opportunity comes, it comes. But against Canelo, just outbox him. You know he's slow of foot. And let him get reckless. See, like that. He just getting out of the way of Canelo's overhand right. And I know Bud has that left hand up at attention because he knows that Canelo comes with that right hand. Lights could be out. Bud is doing some very good strategic, tactical boxing right now. He's not rushing anything. He's extremely focused. And we've seen Canelo, when he did it with Amir Khan, he let Amir Khan do what Amir Khan wanted to do. But then when he wanted to close the show, he closed the show. So Canelo has that ability. Now, you would believe Bud has a better chin, but sometimes you don't have a say in the matter when a sledgehammer hits you on your chin. So far, I think Bud is relying on his skills, but he's more relying on his athleticism because his step back is so athletic right now. I'm not jocking him. This is just what I'm seeing. His athleticism. He's walking the walk. And see, it's like a broken record. Now, I'm sure I'm not being delusional. The first 3 rounds went to Bud. So I'm wondering, is this another Amir Khan situation to where Canelo is just going to do what he does and just take his time and let Bud, execute or think he's executing, let him lull, make him think he's having an easier time getting his confidence up. And then he puts the pedal to the metal and kind of breaks the rhythm, and then he goes in for the kill. But I'm looking at them in the corner right now, and Bud, and that's one thing you try to do as a fighter. You keep your mouth closed and you breathe, so you let the other fighter cross the ring, know you're not tired. And you can see it with a lot of fighters, to let them know you're not tired, you just breathe through your nose. And then if you really concentrate on the other fighter, if you know he's tired, you can see him breathe real hard, just try to really force it out of his nose. Or you could be like Bud and Canelo are right now. It's like the walk in the park in terms of their conditioning. And here they are, out for round 4. Because, in boxing, as they say, once you get past round 4, then it's a professional fight. Because, round 3, those are for amateurs. 3 rounds are for amateurs. 4 rounds is when you start dealing with them. See, Bud is opening up more. 4 rounds is for, undercard guys, young guys. So Bud's giving that good movement, but Canelo knows he can take the shot, but he's also dug himself a hole, according to my card so far. It's still early. Now, Bud's going to have to get some respect, and the respect he's going to have to get, the way Canelo's coming after him, he's going to have to get that respect from countering and making Canelo run into something. Because Canelo, he could take the punch, whether he's running into it or whether he's just getting hit naturally from it. But running into it is going to add that much more damage. And Bud's doing a good job. When the ropes touch his back, he's moving, he's sliding. And that was a good right hand that Canelo just came with against the southpaw stance of Canelo. So I wonder if Bud's going to turn orthodox at all in this fight. because he does prefer southpaw, even though he's a natural orthodox fighter. I understand the story behind it. When he got injured, he had to go southpaw. He liked it so much and got better at it, became strong at it. He decided to stay southpaw, but he can still go back to being right-handed when he needs to. See, and Bud needs to go do a bit more body work. But what I want to see in the later rounds is when they finally get together in a clinch or something in close, how Bud is going to maneuver him with that wrestling strong core background, being able to, shove him around, push him. I know we had Coach on when we did our panel last Thursday, Coach Danny Nieves, coach up there in Chicago, one of Bias's friends. He talked about that, about being able to push him around and bully him, expect it. See, that's what I like when fighters kind of get confident, but the hammer can come down. And Canelo's hands, as you can see, are not as fast as they were when he was younger. And I know I don't want to make it as an excuse, but fighters do get old overnight. We've seen that so many times throughout our lives, throughout boxers' lives, and it doesn't change just because of who you are. Whether it's going to be Canelo or whether it's going to be Muhammad Ali or whether it was Sugar Ray Robinson, your hand, even Floyd's hand speed wasn't the same as when he was 130 pounds. And that was more, Canelo did catch him with a nice shot. It was a more off-balance shot. Oh, God. I'm almost needing somebody to tell me what the rounds is. I know I just gave Bud another round. He's up 4 rounds to none right now. I need some confirmation. I need somebody. Skipper Kelp has been doing. He's the guy who's keeping the rounds tonight. He's been doing a great job with it. But I need him to confirm, because I don't want to see like I'm just going chalk here. Like this is the NCAA tournament picking a 1 versus a 16. See, Canelo did land that one good shot. And then he landed another shot. So those rights are landing. But we know that Bud's a dog, but I saw a dead dog in the street the other day and a car hit it. So, see, Canelo's now breathing a little bit through his mouth, but we've seen it. Canelo's done that before. He's one of these fighters who's done it so much. This is muscle memory, and he can fight. He can fight tired. Bro, this guy. They're showing Logan Paul right now as if he's the one fighting somebody. Then, of course, Mike Tyson fighting. Mike Tyson, they're showing him. We're out for round 5 now. I hope someone gives me a scorecard so I can see. Come on, Skipper Kelp. Give me a scorecard so I can confirm what the hell I'm doing isn't some biased nonsense. Because we're now in round 5. Now the fight's really started. So now we should have somewhat of a rhythm getting going. I don't believe either fighter is going to pull away because it's such a high level, high skill fight. And even though I think wear and tear could be a factor, it's still Canelo still, from muscle memory alone. And see, so he did it just like me. Okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. It's an unofficial. Yeah, Skipper Kelp has it as a 10, 4 rounds to nothing for Bud right now too. So I'm not gonna trip. Like I'm just being somebody who's going to cross the board for Bud. No, I'm trying to pick who I see winning. I'm being as fair as possible. Matter of fact, so fair, I don't want to start even overvaluing what Canelo's doing just to make things even. Bud just has an awesome way of fighting right now. I'm not jumping on his nuts or nothing, but I'm just calling it like I see it. He's using the jab, and he's also has that nice counter uppercut, which works well against right-handed fighters. When you're a southpaw, the counter uppercut with the left hand. But at the same time, that counter uppercut from Canelo with the right hand could be effective too. But Bud's athleticism, in my opinion, is ruining the day because he's able to get out of it, get in distance, and then get right out of it just at the brink of time before getting caught with something very effective. And look, as soon as Canelo gets close, he just steps back a half a step. It's a lot like what Buster Douglas was doing with Mike Tyson when they fought. He would double jab and step just a half step back, and then come with that right hand. And Mike ran right into it every time, almost every time. And then he tripled up on that jab sometime. So we're in round 5 now. Bud just caught a right hand from Canelo, just caught another right hand from Canelo. And I'm saying caught it with his glove. So, and people don't understand who hadn't boxed before or haven't been around boxing. Catching punches, blocking hurts too. It just doesn't hurt as much. It doesn't jar you depending on who's punching. See, if young Mike Tyson's punching you and then he catches your gloves, it doesn't matter. You're still going. He's a prodigious puncher like George Foreman, like Ernie Shavers, like Julian Jackson, even Randall Bailey. See? Well, at least Skippers and myself, we both look like fools together. I'm going with 10-9 now for 5 rounds to nothing for Crawford. And this could be that night, turning old at the last second. And I think right now is a good strategy for Bud. Hell, I don't want to act like I'm jocking somebody, but this may be a good round for Bud, a good tactic for Bud specifically because he's getting in range, he's getting out the last second, but he's also making Canelo work. So it's not like Canelo's just able to stand around and do nothing. He's actually standing there and catching shots. Canelo's actually getting hit, and Bud is just getting out of the way. And for the shots that Bud does get hit with, it's just not enough follow-up to be effective for Canelo. And he's making Canelo work more than Canelo might want to work right now. And you can see in the corner, he's breathing, but Canelo can't fight tired. We've seen it. But when does he get discouraged? Because there was a point in time when he fought Bivol, he started looking tired, and then he almost started to look like he was disinterested when he looked like he couldn't win the fight. So now we're in round 6. And on my scorecard, I think Skipper Kelp, we're talking about 5-0. Oh, so he gave that round to Canelo. So good. Okay. And now Bud is throwing more punches, more combinations, going to the body. Canelo just got caught with a shot coming in. And Bud did a little bit of that action that Floyd Mayweather had done when Canelo was an itty-bitty boy, just making a spin off the ropes and missing with a punch. Look, see, he's tying him up, and he's moving him. This is what we were talking about. This is a brutal business, especially when you have somebody coming after you looking to just beat the living daylights out of you. And that's what Canelo's trying to do. He's trying to accomplish that. But just don't smirk at him. Just keep it serious. Understand. You want to act like it's easy work. You're keeping him off balance because he couldn't throw that other punch. Nice movement, but keep busy yourself like that. And he's missing. And I know people saying he's running. He's strategically fighting. There isn't any running here. He's standing in front of him. And as the old Nazim Richardson used to say, try to walk in the rain without getting hit by the raindrops. Try not to get wet. Don't get wet in the shower or something to that effect. So far, so good. I'm hoping there isn't anything because these are a southpaw and an orthodox fighter. I'm hoping there isn't something like a headbutt that can affect what's going on in this fight because the clashing of heads is something that kind of happens when you have a southpaw fighting an orthodox fighter. And Bud is just keeping that jab out there. And when he plants, he's throwing combinations. And he's able, because he's athletic enough, he's able to kind of walk with his punches and stay in line with Canelo. That's why they tell you in boxing, don't go straight back because you can only come straight back pretty much. You come right back into a punch that's coming straight down the pipe. And Crawford's, I don't want him to get, I like him to be quietly confident, smiling and showing all that stuff. I don't know. I just never did that kind of thing. Look, I fought amateurs. I didn't fight pro. But I know as a pro, I probably wouldn't have done that kind of thing. I would have done something else because in the amateurs, I did do something else. But here we go again, bro. Skipper, dig me out of this one. Dig me out of this one. And look at Canelo's face. He's kind of showing some of the bruising, but we've seen that with Canelo before. He's been bruised before. So this isn't something that hadn't happened. So he can get bruised up. He doesn't get cut often. Bud's been cut before. Bud's been bruised before. This is boxing, man. This isn't some prom dance. You're going to get roughed up. He's breathing out of his mouth, but once again, he can fight tired, but mentally, and look, he's been there so many times, so even mentally, he can't be broken. But fighters can get discouraged. Fighters can get discouraged. They're showing some replays right now of Bud really sticking it to him with that left hand. And he was actually pulling back when he threw it, and then he got out of there from the corner, and that miss. This is the aesthetics of what judges see and what they look at. And Skipper Kelp kind of went back online with me again. I put another round for, but hey, you know what? Skipper and I could go back and forth about that round 5, and we could dig it. You know what I mean? I picked Bud. He had Canelo for the first time, but he went back on the Canelo deal now. Look at that. Now Bud's pushing him around like we was talking about on Thursday. That core strength. But he needs to do his work and get out of there or tie up until the ref comes in. He's embarrassing him, to tell you the truth, but I'm still thinking Joe Louis, Billy Conn, first fight. I'm still thinking because I know Billy Conn was all cocky, went for the knockout in round 13, but this is a 12-round fight, so we don't have to worry about round 13. But it looks like Bud is getting cocky a little earlier in the 7th round. We don't need something different happening in the 9th round or 8th round. I don't know. I think I'm doing this broadcast just for me. Hell, I think it's cool anyway, regardless. I can do this show, and it must go on with or without me or without anyone, but I'm doing it. And I enjoy doing it. And watching the fight. Come on. This is a pretty masterful performance. He's keeping him turned. He's not letting Canelo set like Canelo likes to do because he gets more leverage on his punches like anybody else. If they're set, keep him turning. This is what you hear when you're boxing trainers, when you're young, or when you first start boxing, regardless of whatever age, your trainers tell you, keep them turning. They can't position themselves. Oh, yeah. See, Canelo wants a stationary target, and Bud is not giving it to him. He's just fighting a smart fight. He's being tough when he needs to be tough because there's still a reputation you got to hold up. So he's doing enough to keep the reputation intact, but also doing enough to safely box and not have to go crazy and wild and get caught with something he can't see. Because right now you can even look in his eyes how concentrated he is, and he's seeing everything come. So when is there going to be a time when he starts throwing more punches on Canelo, making him have to fight back to see how fatigued he gets? You know, like I said, looking at your body from the beginning of the fight, and we go with that again. Bro, I'm going to have to tear up my scorecard when this is done because I'm sure these judges aren't looking at it the way I'm looking at it. You know, this is something Bias and I are going to have to look at a little bit later. We may have to watch this fight over again if it goes 12 rounds. See, the way the fight is going right now, it seems like it could go and it will go 12 rounds. But what's more important to me are the championship rounds and how they're going to be doing it. If they're going to the 11th and 12th round, is Bud going to really try to close the show, not going for the knockout, but really impressing these judges, knowing that anything can happen with these judges because we've seen it too many times before, especially in Vegas. But you think with Bud being with Turkey would be a reason why the judges probably wouldn't be so anxious to just give Canelo a fight he may have lost. You know, and I'm looking at him. He doesn't look defeated. I'm not going to go that far, but, And I'm not even going to say he looks worried. I'm just going to say, he's got a little bruising on him. And Skipper has him round 7 for him. So we're now in round 8. And Bud looks like he's still holding up. But I've seen boxing. I watched boxing for so many decades, and I've seen guys look fresh as a daisy. And next thing you know, they're pushing up daisies. And all it takes is a shot by Canelo to just drop Bud and get things going in a guaranteed round pretty much for Canelo. Bud has done a good job with the uppercut as Canelo's coming in. And that's what you can do against a southpaw against a right-handed fighter when you're southpaw, is that uppercut. It's a good weapon. It's not something they're used to seeing a lot because you don't fight a lot of southpaws. And in the course of a 6-week, 8-week sparring session, you can build some habits, but then you're still going to fall back to what you know during the course of a fight, what you feel comfortable with. Yeah, you'll take parts and pieces from the sparring sessions and things you learn because that guy is supposed to be mimicking the fighter you're fighting. In this case, Boots Ennis. I'm trying to see if Bud is taking a round off. Is this because he's not throwing as many punches? He's just giving some movement, some angles. I wouldn't do that based on the scoring. He's saying it doesn't hurt. I would spend more time trying to just establish some dominance than letting him know what hurts and what doesn't hurt. Because if you're telling him how much something doesn't hurt, that means it's still landing, though. And this is what the judges are seeing. And Canelo hasn't really done anything different. I was expecting him to kind of do something different. I don't know exactly what it is, what I was thinking or what I'm expecting, but I was expecting him to do something different than what he's doing. It seems like Groundhog Day, doing the same thing over and over. And Bud is just adapting to what he's doing. See, now he's tied up close. He's doing that little wrestling thing again. See, now they're in the inside. This is what we're talking about. I was talking about that 7th, 8th, 9th round on the inside. How was that going to play out? And this is what we're getting now. Seeing what that wrestling, what is that wrestling experience going to do? Being a strong core fighter who knows how to maneuver people with their bodies as a wrestler, using it as a boxer. They talk about the same thing in football. Wrestlers being offensive linemen or defensive linemen, knowing how to use leverage and all those things. So I could finally give a round to Canelo, probably because I thought that Bud took a little bit of time off. So I'm going to give this round to Canelo. So someone pat me on the back for that. And this will probably be one of those rounds that Skipper Kelp decided to take Bud. And I'll be like, okay, so we got to wash if that does happen. See, you can see Bomac is not looking him in the eye, he's just giving him instructions. A lot of these little nuanced things you think about when you're watching a fight or you listening to some commentary in the corner. You try to find little things to figure out, why they're doing this. What is the reason for this? What sign can you get that this fighter might be tired or this fighter might be losing hope? You see people slump in the corner. Is he really tired or is he just discouraged? You just don't know. And now Bud, he looks pretty fresh. He's coming back out. So okay. So he picked Canelo too. So now Bud comes out throwing more punches. I think Canelo has some desperation to him. And look at Bud just doing it. Oh my God. Bud's kind of shoe shining him. He's shoe shining him and leaving, keeping him turning. You would think Canelo wants that kind of fight, but Bud keeps getting out of there before Canelo can get out of it, can react to it. He cut. There was a headbutt. Canelo headbutt him. I don't think there's a cut. It might be a little cut, but it's not in the area. Oh, yeah. I'm not going to say it was intentional. This just happens in the course of a fight. It's an accidental headbutt. So let's see how Bud responds to an accidental headbutt that might have caused a cut, might have been a little bleeding. I don't think from what we see right now that it's a cut that's going to affect the fighter, affect his vision, which will in turn affect the fight. So the time was taken, and now Bud's coming back out. Because I know how that could happen. You know, that bone on bone, it just changes things. Bone on bone is so much different than just having a glove hit you, even a hard punching glove. But we call these guys dogs, so dogs know how to just fight back from this kind of thing. Bud is using different levels. He's going to the body, coming to the head. He's using different angles. And I think that the headbutt and the little break gave Canelo a bit of a reprieve because he's a little bit more tenacious in his pursuing. He's a little bit more tenacious in his pursuing. What we got right here? All right, man. What's going on?
What's going on?
Oh, you watching the fight, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And right now, Bud is putting on a spectacular show.
Yes.
The headbutt could be effective, but the way he started this round, though, with the flurry and moving around and just changing the angles, I think it gives him the advantage. I've only given Canelo 1 round. Skipper Kelp has given him 2 rounds. But either way, it looks like, I don't know, because these judges are judges and they're going to judge. You know, but from what I see right now, it's like Bud is going to get, and for Canelo to stand there and do nothing like he just did, I don't think that's in his best interest. You know, for Canelo to just stand there, he needs to be a little busier. You know,
yeah.
And Bud is Bud needs to do a little bit more too. You know, you don't want to do what Oscar De La Hoya did against Felix Trinidad. Think you have such a big lead and you can just move around. Nah, you know, you don't know how these judges are thinking and how they look at that. So, but yes, here he goes again with a nice little flurry. He got his eyes wide open. And the good thing about it, he's moving to his right. So as a southpaw, moving to his right so he doesn't run into that power hand, which would be the right hand. You don't want to run into Canelo's left either, though.
But I think that Canelo is tired, and you see at around the 3rd round or the 4th round, they were icing his leg.
Yeah,
and I noticed that
they icing his. You know what? I didn't catch that part. They icing his leg. Okay, so you saw that part.
Like, yeah, and I'm wondering like why icing his leg, and I'm like, okay, he might be tired.
Man, he just beat him like
he's doing a lot of movement.
Now, they showed the replay. It was like he was getting beat by an octopus. So many punches and they're landing, and that shot right there really got him. But he doesn't have to be effective. I mean, he doesn't have to be. You don't have to knock him out, but he's effective with the punches he's throwing. He doesn't have to put power on every punch. He could just end combinations with an exclamation point. That would.
I think he said it best. He said that I don't have to knock him out to beat him. Yeah, and he's right. Because so far I give Bud almost all the rounds.
Yeah, bro. Right now on my card, I've given Bud every round but 1. And Skipper Kelp, who's doing the scoring here, he's giving him every round but 2. So, you know, I have to fight with that 2nd round.
And then I'm watching Bud push his man
in the winner's seat again.
Now it gets to
that point of desperation. It gets to the point of desperation in Canelo's mind. Does he get reckless and starts walking straight in without a real plan other than just getting revenge? But then you have a smart fighter like Bud who's going to set you up with a trap and you'll run into something. And he's run into a few things already tonight, Canelo.
I mean, because after this fight, Bud not going to fight till next year.
Bro, after this fight, he doesn't have to fight till next year. I mean, that's typically his MO anyway. He doesn't have a lot of activity. What is he doing? Did you see what Canelo just did?
Well,
I'm not going to say he's trying to quit, but Canelo's not quitting. That's just how it is. I'm just saying the way he kind of like almost turned his back, it looked like a little bit of no mas in my opinion. We have Roberto Duran tonight. Oh, man. We talked about how these dudes is dogs. We got a Great Dane tonight. We got a big dog in our house. And he just walking him down. Hope these referees do the right thing if this is how it's going. He just touching him. He just touching him.
Yeah, I saw he's touching
and then he's
and
rolling
Canelo
as a southpaw. He's rolling that left hook.
The good thing about Bud is he know his distance. He's not trying to be
Yeah.
something who he's not, and
Yep.
you can see that he's hitting him. It's just tapping him. Ba 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 ba. More away. Ba 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 ba. More away.
Yeah, he just scoring.
That's it. And he's not running. He's moving around, setting the southpaw position, moving around. Pop that
He
jab
hasn't
on him
done
again.
orthodox at all. So he hasn't done orthodox at all tonight so far. I wonder if that's going to be for the championship rounds. He had Boots Ennis in his camp. That's the only one in boxing that I know today that can at least try to mimic what Bud does in terms of turning from southpaw to orthodox. But he's been southpaw the entire fight so far. Maybe he does in the championship rounds, which is 11 and 12. Use a little bit of right hand. Look at Canelo using the forearms, the little bit of Floyd Mayweather tactic.
Mm-hmm. There you go again. He's shelling up.
That inside fighting, I think, is really well. Bud is showing his core strength in that inside fighting.
Yeah, because when Canelo
getting
throws
out just in
one,
time for the record.
when Canelo throws one, he's
Bud's
throwing
throwing
like 3
4.
punches. He's throwing 3 or 4
Yeah,
punches.
3 and 2 of them and 3 of them are landing.
Yep.
And it doesn't even have to land hard. It just has to score. It has to score. So, after this, another round for Bud. We're going into the championship rounds. I'm expecting Bud to fight Usyk. What the hell else? He can do anything if he wins this fight, right?
Yeah, I mean, give him 2 years, he'll fight Usyk.
Nah, man, bro, he needs to just seal his legacy and call it a career, bro. He got nothing else to prove if he does this, man. He moved up from 130 in total to 168, came in at 167 and a half. We're talking 37 and a half pounds he came up in fighting weight. We haven't seen those kind of weight jumps since old school boxers like Henry Armstrong coming from 126.
Manny Pacquiao.
But there's no catch weights here. So we're talking about legitimate classes. I mean, I'm not taking crap from Manny Pacquiao, but it's just that, hey, I'm calling it what it is. Those were catch weights. But, the regular weights as well, but they have real weight classes for a reason. And
on top of that, Bud want to fight the number one guy in that weight class.
Who?
Bud wants to fight the number one guy in the weight class.
He did. And he's doing it. And he's doing it. See, this is the championship rounds now. Now, I'm hoping no more head action comes into play. We've already seen that. And Bud doesn't have to. Bro, don't do the Billy Khan. Don't go for the knockout. Tie up when you have to tie up. Throw punches when you have to throw them.
Right now, Bud looking sharp. Bud looking sharp. He's looking smart.
Skipper Kelp just gave that last round to Canelo. I gave it to Bud. Well, you know what? I guess I'm a homer. Maybe my money's speaking for me.
Yeah, right now, Bud looking sharp, looking smart.
Yeah, Bud is just standing in the pocket with him, too. Look at that. He's doing a nice turn. Look at the way he's turning his body, though. He's not taking the brunt of that punch. Look at that. I mean, God. And now Canelo's getting pissed. You can see it. He's getting upset.
He's behind on points.
Bud just ate his right hand.
Yeah, he don't have no more. Canelo's not as powerful as he was in the first.
His arms are not doing it for him.
Yeah.
I can see right now his arms aren't doing it for him.
I told you. I said, do you think Canelo overtrains?
No, I don't think this is an overtraining deal. I think it's a kind of getting old overnight deal. Overtraining. He's done this too long to overtrain. What is he doing? It's like he's getting pissed off because he got hit. Are you about to give me this no mas? Bud's feeling himself right now, man.
I know.
Bud is feeling himself right now. Canelo's like he want to quit. Man, this dude better not quit. I said he never would. Bro, you can't quit on Mexican Independence Day, man. They'll throw you in jail.
Why not?
Because why can't you quit? Because you have pride. Remember the Aztec
that
Warriors? Oh, your
that
boy
burns
Fernando
house
Vargas
down.
Jr. died. Damn, I'm talking about. Your boy Fernando
What?
Vargas Jr. lost tonight too.
I know. I saw that. I mean, that guy's a big guy, and he just pushed him around and went to the body.
I
He
can't believe
wasn't.
it.
He wasn't fast. He just went to the body and pushed him around.
No, the dude was more skilled, period. Because
Yeah.
remember, if you heard any of the commentary, he didn't have an elaborate amateur career. These European fighters have these elaborate amateur careers. Oh, God, look at Bud just treating him badly. I'm just watching. It looks like a masterpiece to me, man.
Yeah, I think so too.
Unbelievable.
It's
I mean, really.
to me, it's a shutout, in my opinion.
Bro, damn, this is another round for Bud for me, but I'm just a homer that just bet $100. That's all I am. That's all I am. I mean, I'm not even a homer. I'm doing this fight the way I think it needs to be done. Look, I'm not even going to score the next round. I'm just going to put this joint up here. What do I need to do?
I put Bud. I put Bud. I say Bud has more skill.
Bro, did you
Bud
see that combination that showed in slow motion? How he went to the body? That's what I saw when I was at the PAL Nationals back in 1995 in Dallas, when I saw Floyd Mayweather for the first time, when he caught that body shot with that elbow and turned it into an uppercut immediately. That's why I was like, yo, this dude's special. Because amateurs don't do that. Pros still don't do that well.
Yeah.
Unless you're a high pro like Bud is doing. Man, this little thing that Canelo is doing, like turning his head and stuff, I wonder what that is about.
I mean, he's been doing it for years.
No, turning his head in terms of like, yo, what's going? He gives you the look as if he was low blowed or something illegal happened. He did that like twice in this fight or 3 times in this fight already. Like there's some type of frustration. Now I can understand, you don't want to be in the spot you in. Now Bud's gonna outbox you. Now we're gonna show what the dog is all about.
Yeah,
he just. I'm not gonna say. Look, Canelo's not a front runner. We've seen enough of him to know he's not a front runner. But man, and look, we saw against Bivol now. He seemed disinterested when he realized he couldn't win the fight.
And that's how he look right now. He looks like.
That's exactly what I was about to say. He kind of looks a lot of the same. Now he's like getting frustrated, and he's not coming in with form. He's coming with his hands down. He just trying to throw anything, but Bud is too fast, too quick. And the good thing about Bud, he's using pivots. He's not using a lot of steps.
Yeah.
It's easier to pivot, as you already know. It's easier to pivot to not use energy than to step. I used to teach guys to walk and step.
And it shows that, Bud, this is kind of fight that Charlo should be fighting. Charlo's a bigger.
Paulo didn't have the heart for that fight. Let's call it what it was.
Yeah.
He wasn't there to win the fight.
Yeah,
like, he was knocked down. He made it even worse.
Yeah, he was scared. And Bud is smaller. Is smaller than Charlo, but he's taking it to Canelo, and he made Canelo look slow. Charlo made Canelo look like a boxing god in that fight.
Man, these judges better not disappoint me, man.
See, I mean, if they give it to Canelo, last round, they give it to Canelo,
it'll be so disappointing, man.
I didn't give the last round to Canelo.
I'll be losing my money in protest.
I gave the last round. I gave the last round to Bud.
Huh?
I gave the last round to Bud.
Oh yeah, I gave the last round to Bud too. Oh, you talking this round here?
No, the round 10. Yeah. Now we're round 11. I mean, round 12.
This is round 12 now, so
yeah.
I should just wrote it in for Bud anyway before it started, but whatever. Look at that.
Only thing Bud gotta do is keep the distance.
Ice to the leg you're talking about may be some type of a factor in the post fight. We'll get to here. I don't know. Icing the leg, maybe a hamstring, maybe something else. He's pissed off the way he's fighting, the way he's responding.
Remember, he used to wear a brace on some of his fights on his leg.
He did.
Canelo.
He did. But no one goes into a fight 100%. Coach was talking about that on Thursday. You know it yourself.
Right
I know it myself.
Left hand.
We know that, no fighter. I remember my UNF guys, man. Tony going to fight with a black eye because we sparred. earlier that week. So you don't go amateurs and the pros. My man put his arm up like he won a fight. Maybe he's making a deodorant commercial or something. So we'll have to sit here and wait for the decision. And let me take this earbud out so I can hear a little better.
I mean, but just put on a master class performance.
Oh, I'll get that one to Bud too. I should just give it to them. You know what? I got some BS scorecard, I guess. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
I have a shot, a blowout with Bud beating Canelo.
Oh wow!
And I think Canelo just giving up in the 12th round.
I think he given up before that.
Yeah, I believe so too because I'm watching him.
Oh, Kerry's at the fight, by the way.
And Canelo got his hands down. He looked defeated. The same look he gave when he fought Mayweather and Devo.
Yep.
I mean, Bud is a special fighter. I mean, he's older than Canelo, and he has faster hands, and he pushing the guy around. I mean, spinning him around, making Canelo look bad. I'm making him miss. Wow, backing him up. Oh. And he's banging with Canelo. It's over.
Oh, you didn't see it yet? Oh, it's over for me already.
Oh, shoot, I got a delay.
Yeah, you want to delay, you clown. Bro, I got 109, 119.
Shoot.
What?
I got to wipe out.
You're some bums.
If you gave Canelo 1 round, you just being nice. Give him 2 rounds.
Skipper Cup gave him like 2. I think Skipper Cup gave him 2 or 3.
I think Skipper need to go skip somewhere else.
Well, the reason why Skip is not a ref or not a judge, and he's a former fighter. As long as there's no Adelaide Bird in the house on CJ Ross. So let's hear what's going on here. You can wave that flag all you want. I don't want to hear nonsense. I don't want to hear draw. I just want to hear what's going on. Like Marvin Gaye, what's going on?
Yep.
The Undisputed and Ring Magazine Super Middleweight Championship.
Terence
Let's
Crawford.
hear the decision.
Here we go.
What? Oh. Yes, Bud, boy, Bud, pay me, niggas,
yes, sir.
pay me.
Let's go, my boy.
They ain't gonna pay me, boys.
Three-time undisputed world champion.
Bud freaking did it. What? Put your money where your mouth is. Do what you do. No rematch needed. Blah, blah, blah. etc., so forth and so on.
Awesome.
It's a beautiful thing.
He did it. Hey, we was right. We both put Bud Crawford. I said Bud got more skills. I got Bud. And he beat him with a southpaw.
I put my money where my mouth was, man. I should have put 1,000 on that damn thing, but you know how that goes.
He have 1,000.
Oh, man. I could have put 1,000 on it, but come on, man. We got to kind of ease on down the road.
Yeah.
100 on it, so that's 1/10 of 1,000.
So here's a question:
he got the ring. He got the damn ring too. UBC ring.
So do you put him in front of Mayweather?
Mayweather never even attempted to fight Triple G. This dude came from 130, just like Mayweather, went to super middleweight and beat the Ring Magazine champion.
And the scorecard was off.
The scorecard was off, man. I was like, they about to give him the business, man.
Google already updated. So Canelo is the former who held multiple championships.
The yacht broker, Kerry Eiler, is in Las Vegas right now. He's messaging me. He's at the fight. He's about to leave the fight because he has terrible cell phone service inside the arena. He said when he gets out of the arena, he will try to call. So let's see if I can stay on for a little bit longer and see if he calls. He said give him a bit. Yeah, let's hear it, boy. Hold on a second. He fought like a champion. He fought like a dude who tried to quit. So not only did he lose, he lost on Mexican Independence Day. Let me check my gambling account to see. I have no clue. This place is a madhouse. So Kerry doesn't know exactly when he's going to be getting out of there and exactly when he may be coming on. But hey, why not? We could talk about this damn fight. Now, you just asked the question. I think a lot of people will be asking as well. Do you put him in front of Mayweather? He's not 50-0, but he's still undefeated, and he fought everybody he needed to fight. This supersedes anything he would have gotten credit for against Boots, right? Are you listening? Here we go. Now you all can see.
I'm watching Bud talk. I'm like, what?
Yeah. No, the deal is, I was saying the question you asked earlier. You asked about whether, hold on, got somebody else popping up in here. And the new champion, you better believe it. Terence Crawford looked like he caught Canelo by surprise. I don't think he caught him by surprise. He just beat him. He just beat him. Now, I was saying, you talked about, does this put him in front of Mayweather? And I'm saying that what he had done tonight, it supersedes anything he could have done with Boots because people are saying he's skipping Boots. This goes much further than beating Boots. Beating Canelo, when Canelo didn't have to fight him, he was the one reaching for legacy. He went for it. He did it. He did what the old school fighters did. So now let's hear the story with Canelo. I'm trying to hear this now. I feel great, but I had ice on my leg.
Do you think we'll have a rematch?
A rematch? I mean, you would think that they would want a rematch.
I think that
Bud is a different breed. He's that guy who goes back in time. I mean, once again, starting off at 130 pounds, fighting for the 168-pound belt, coming in at 167.5.
I mean, he never hurt Canelo.
Huh?
But he never hurt Canelo, but he had Canelo respect him.
He had enough power to get respect because there were a few punches, especially those counters when Canelo was coming in a little bit reckless. The force of throwing that punch and Canelo walking into it kind of made Canelo think.
Now we all know. We all know Canelo can speak decent English. He doesn't need a translator.
He's trying to not curse, but I think, putting Bud in front of Floyd Mayweather. They're both undefeated. It's just that he's not 50-0 like Floyd, and his resume isn't like Floyd. And by the way, as I mentioned on Thursday, neither fighter are in their prime. But it's still there's something still to be said about fighting a fighter 2 weight classes up, looking the way he did the last time he was out, and fighting as infrequently as Terence Crawford has fought, and to still come out. You think about Canelo and how he's been so consistent. He's been fighting even fighters who probably weren't on his level. He was still keeping busy. And in boxing, that matters. Staying busy, those busy fights still keeps you sharp.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what Canelo, what Bud wasn't doing. He said he feels great. He feels strong. So just give it a couple of hours and that thing will start changing to my leg, my elbow, my neck. I've seen it so much in boxing. I remember when Shane Mosley gave Miguel Cotto all those props. Man, the better man won tonight. The next day, just saying all this type of crap. Like, what the hell happened? You fought again in your dreams or something?
I think what happened to Canelo, he fought a smaller guy with faster hands that can pop, and he couldn't deal with the movement.
And a
When
guy
when
that was
when
willing to
he
fight.
fight, when he fight guys at 168, Canelo is probably is faster. Most time he's faster than other guys at that weight class.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, they're also afraid of Canelo.
Well, yeah, you look at some of them, they were. We have our new champion, our new ringside champion. He doesn't even need to defend the belt unless he's having a rematch for some serious retirement money. Hell, the money he gets tonight, whether it's the $10 million flat or up to $50 million because of the subscriptions, I guess, or whatever else was in the contract, that's the retirement fund. But he doesn't have to have another fight anymore. First ballot Hall of Famer before he stepped into this ring tonight.
Hey, it's crazy. Bob Arum said that Terence Crawford was a born fighter.
Look at him now. That's why he let him go. Bob Arum screwed up twice. He screwed up with Floyd when he thought that Floyd would never be a star, so he let Floyd buy himself out for $750,000. And then he says that Terence Crawford was a born fighter. He used to talk crap about his own fighter. And then when that contract expired, he was like, "Thank God." And now we got Bud here, and Arum isn't getting any of the money. Isn't getting any of that money. So that's
and Bob Arum was so high on Lomachenko. Look at Lomachenko now, retired.
Oh yeah, but you know what? He got what he got with Lomachenko as well. It was like a meteor. It was meteoric with him. It lasted for a short time, but it was bright as hell when it was out there. And he made his money, but this would have been a better play.
Lomachenko never came that big time star like
he never had that super fight, because the fight that was supposed to have been a super fight against Rigondeaux, it wasn't.
Yeah.
And then not only that, it was a super fight for us, not mainstream fighters or mainstream fans.
Oof. All right, man. I might get some rest.
All right. Well, you about to get KO? All right, bro.
Yo.
Thanks for bouncing by. Later. Beat it. So as you have it, if you're still watching, Canelo Alvarez was defeated by Bud Crawford. The scorecards were crap, but the winner is still the winner nonetheless in a unanimous decision, which isn't surprising. You know what? I can say, no, not surprising. I put my money where my mouth was, and I did bet the money to win this fight, Bud to win, and I did win. But still, you know what? There were times when I was thinking, you know what? I'll just have $100. I have $100 to just not throw away, but I could use it. It's disposable. So that's what I did. And so I did it. But there was times I was like, man, I think Bud can do it. And that's always what it is. You think they can do it, but you don't know until they're doing it. And now we're watching it, and they're doing it. And he did it tonight, and I haven't checked my gambling account yet. They usually pay right away. That'll make up for those parlays I lost earlier in football. So I'm a better person because of it. So let me see. I could be feeding off of this win for the NFL tomorrow. Oh, man, they make me sign in. Come on, man, these dudes treat me like a criminal out here. But anyway, let me see. Hey, what's going on? What's this, SSB 28 or that 26? I'm going blind out here. But anyway, yep, Bud is a GOAT. You know what? And that's true. I think that's true. I hate, because it's almost like when you say things that he's phenomenal, he's the GOAT, he's a phenomena, it's almost like we say it too soon. You're not supposed to say it so close together. We're saying that this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. And then a week later, you're saying, man, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Or a month later, saying the same thing. But what he's done tonight hasn't really been done in annals. And how long? I mean, like, seriously. We go back to, when you just look at overall what he's done, you go back to Henry Armstrong winning at 126. Yeah, more than just holding the titles all together simultaneously, 126, 135, and 147, and having an opportunity at 160, which he had gotten robbed. Looking at that, is one thing, and going back then, but that's kind of similar to what just happened here. And by the way, when he was fighting at 160 pounds, he wasn't even 155 pounds. But tonight, Bud just did what a lot of people obviously didn't think he would do. Now, people started jumping on the bandwagon a little bit later, as time got closer. But yeah, so even great fighters move up in one weight class, and get slower. He went up like 3, and you know what? But speed-wise, but I don't think a lot of people talked about his speed because he wasn't flashy speed. When you looked at him and saw him throw punches, you didn't look at him and think Meldrick Taylor or even Floyd Mayweather at 130 pounds. He had fast enough hands, but aside from the fast hands, he had an overall game. And the way his game worked was using all facets of boxing that he knew. And what helped him even more was being a dual threat from different stances, southpaw and orthodox. Now tonight, in a previous fights, he decided to fight southpaw the entire time. And I guess if things got a little desperate, if he needed to, he would have turned right-handed. See, the speed impressed me. So his speed did. At this weight class, he has faster hands than obviously the average 168-pounder. Even though he was 167 and a half, his bone structure for being the athlete he is still smaller. It's not like he even grew into this class. He didn't necessarily eat into this class. He worked into this class. So between the eating and the working, he got to this weight. It wasn't like he got fat and then cut down. Some people do that. They get fat and then they cut down. And Crawford was able to do a lot of things that what made his career what it is right now. And he was tonight, the way he was able to win with his athleticism. I mentioned that earlier on, how he was so athletic. Anytime he saw Canelo come forward, he was able to step back and counter. He was able to do something different. And Canelo couldn't get closer. Then when Canelo went straight back, Floyd was able to, not Floyd, but Terence was able to come straight to him and still land some shots. I think this fight with 15 rounds, Canelo gets knocked out. Now, you know what? I don't think he would have gotten knocked out. I don't think he would have gotten knocked out, but we don't know. That's the thing about the speculation. And if you listen to this show, the Sports Back Bros podcast with Bias and I, or if you subscribe to this channel, you saw some of our shows, you would know. Excuse me, damn, dying out here. I compared this fight to what Billy Conn and Joe Louis had done in their first fight. Billy Conn came in at 169 pounds. Joe Louis came in at 199 pounds, a 30-pound difference when they fought. Billy Conn was the light heavyweight champion of the world. Joe Louis, the heavyweight champion of the world. For 12 rounds, he outboxed them the same way Bud had just done with Canelo. But in that 13th round, that's when Billy Conn decided to go for the knockout because he thought it was so easy the previous 12 rounds. And then he got knocked out. So that's the difference. Bud kept his discipline, kept his head in the game, and it ended this way. And he wins. But anyways, that'll be it for me tonight. I had a friend out in Vegas who was watching this fight. He was going to come on with us, but his phone service is so bad inside that arena. He said it's a madhouse out there, so he can't even get out quick enough. And I can only imagine. I've been to some championship fights in the past. And I know how it could be in the hallways in the arena, how to get out of there. Even if you're not driving, if you're just going to the hotel and decide to walk because you can't drive, it's still congested. I'm Trav with the Sports Back Bros podcast. If you want to check out Bias and I's, make sure you subscribe to the channel, which we don't typically ask you to do. If you want to go ahead and do so, do it. There are some boxing things on there along with other sports because we are indeed a sports channel. If you want to check us out, we typically drop a show on a Tuesday or Wednesday, even though we do the shows on Monday and Thursdays. Those are recorded shows. We have fight shows just like this as well on occasion. The fight has to be big enough for us to do it. So make sure you check us out. By the way, make sure you check out my latest Greatest Rounds Ever series boxing match, and that was Mickey Ward and Arturo Gatti. So for Bias who did not show up tonight, I'm Trav, the Sports Back Bros podcast. We'll be back on Monday, but we'll probably drop on Tuesday. But until then, deuces.